want to raise this morning. The APC Reconciliation Committee in Oyo State is part of a broader effort to resolve long-running internal divisions that have weakened the party since before the 2023 elections, and they complicated its preparation for 2027. Now, I'll start by giving just maybe just an opinion, if you like, about the primaries, and this is generally, my opinion about the entire primaries that we had this election cycle, and I hope that I could finish what I was writing about it. It was largely subpar when you look at the preparation towards it, how it was handled at different parties.
Is it compared to other primaries that have been held
that we've had before? When we had the indirect primary, the criticism against it was singular. And that singular issue was corruption. That people were bought. People who had to give money to delegates, bought votes and the rest. That was one major problem that you had with that form of primary. But this time, the idea of direct primary, of consensus, we made a complete mess of it this time. That many parties did not even conduct primaries. Some did something that looks like primary. Some looked like a charade. Until you wonder. We saw videos of 1, 2, 50, 70, 100, 200.
5,000.
In one row. We saw those kind of mockery of primaries. So that's generally my perspective about the primaries. And then we have a situation where you had a primary, and months after the primaries had been conducted, the results never came out. Until now, the result is out. And another issue around that is the result right now is the fact that some names were being substituted for another set of people's names. So that's why criticism, there are more criticism trailing this, what we adopted this time by the Electoral Act, adopting direct primaries and consensus. And we made a mess of the two. The direct primaries, majority of these parties did not even have the capacity to organize direct primaries.
And you see, Shem, those are valid concerns that you've raised, because Nigerians saw all of these things happen live, and it speaks to how much trust or mistrust Nigerians would have in the coming election. We saw the shambolic primary, like you have just said, happening, the countings, the vote buyings. We saw one video of a young lady who was mentioning a particular party and showing, was it 15,000 naira now, and then we're looking at a major election coming in 2027, and Nigerians are asking, is it the same thing we would see? Should we expect better? Should we even have any expectation at all? And I'm hoping that does not lead us to a high level of voter apathy, because at the end of the day, it will not serve anyone. It will not serve us as a people. It will not serve Nigeria. It will not serve our nation. It will not serve anybody if there is voter apathy.
It won't at all. So we need to introspect on the primary elections. The quality of country's general elections can never be better than the quality of its party primaries, because these are the same players that will be involved in the election. Now, so there are internal party democracy remains the weakest link in all of these parties. You see that the sense of democracy is not really entrenched in many of these parties. The consensus has increasingly become a political instrument. They use it to take away the interests of other people. And the Babasokwe was entrenched in many places as well. I don't know, there's something like coercion. Godfatherism has adapted rather than disappeared. We now have different forms of godfatherism. People will choose who becomes what. You remember what happened in NDC?
Right.
Aisha Yusuf wanted to run for Senate. One woman, because she did one or two, she became the candidate.
These are the issues.
So all of that, and the process of litigation, the process of nomination and the rest across all parties. That's one issue for us this morning. The other part is for APC itself, especially in Oyo State. The rest is doing at home. The APC has been divided into several power blocks for years. The main flashpoints have included dispute arising from ward, local government and state congresses, rivalries among influential leaders. Now, the first major reconciliation committee that was inaugurated in 2022 under the chairmanship of Olufemi Lanley had 24 members committee. They were to engage agreed members. Now, today, they also have inaugurated another committee to bring them together. So, how will this committee today bring together the supporters of Adebayo Adelabu, Teslim Folani, Sharafaddin Ali, Abdul Fattah Buhari, leaders associated with Abiola Ajimobi's political structure? How are they going to pull them together?
To now support that one candidate. To support,
the candidate that is going to be running for the governorship election today in the party. Well, can the Oyo State APC unite behind a single leadership and candidate early enough to mount a credible challenge to Governor Makinde's successor in 2027? That's the question. So, if you're a member of the party, if you're a stakeholder of the party,
feel free to call in.
You can call us and tell us what you're planning or what you're trying to do about it. That's on the one side. The other side is the issue around this fake agency thing. I know that Grace was looking at it from home. I was wondering, what is this?
There's like a huge question mark in my head as to how all of this came together. How is it possible? We're looking at it together, just before we came on air. How it is possible that somebody wakes up one morning, goes to Aso Rock, gets an office, registers, under as a government agency, gets CBN, account, gets civil servants in the agency.
Drafted into the agency.
How does that happen?
Get paid salaries.
And you know what the saddest part of these kinds of things, the saddest part is, I'm going to bring it to when people say that journalists are demarketing Nigeria when we talk about these things. But it's on there on social media. It's on there on the newspaper pages. The world is a global village. Everybody is seeing it. So when they begin to peg Nigerians as fraudsters, who do we blame? When Nigerians can no longer get remote jobs, who do we blame? When international bodies begin to question every certificate a Nigerian is holding, who do we blame?
Yeah.
This reflects badly on our image as a country, as a people. It reflects badly. And there are so many people who should be answering questions now. Not only Gbajabi Amila, because he's the one taking the hits now.
Yeah, so please, the discussion this morning is not about Gbajabi Amila.
He's not the focus.
It's not about just even Sunday Adeni or Sunday Adeyemi or whatever his name, or Matthew or whatever his name. It's not just about these people. Let's look at it holistically about our institutions. We can do the timeline. November 2016, there was earlier impersonation allegations against this same character. According to the presidency, Prince Adeni Adeyemi Matthew had previously claimed to be an ambassador and president general of the World Youth Organization, allegedly presenting it as affiliated with the UN. And the UN reportedly denied the organization's legitimacy at the time. The president cites this as evidence of a history of misrepresentation for this particular person. Later, over the weekend, there was also a story done by the Nation newspaper or something that this same guy was an essay to Governor Adeleke, and he was booted out of that cabinet because of alleged fraud or something. So this is not trying to character assassinate this person, but to show his antecedents. However, According to official accounts and publicly available materials, an organization known as Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council, sometimes also linked with the Presidential Economic Advisory Council, have begun operating publicly since 2025. It widely occupied office space inside the Federal Secretariat in Abuja, organized meetings with diplomats and investors. Officials from various government institutions reportedly interacted with it. Note that the Senate interacted with this organization.
Yes.
The House of Representatives interacted with this organization. This organization got a budget code and a budget line in 2026 budget.
1.3 billion naira.
Yes. The Senate sent correspondence inviting PFIPC to nominate participants for an overseas program. A House of Representatives committee also sent an invitation address to the organization. In fact, yesterday there's a story that showed, even with a letter, that showed how the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation invited the DG to join the government delegation to Canada for an event.
For the Canada-Africa FinTech Summit.
Yes.
In 2025.
Exactly.
August 2025.
Okay, this fictitious agency had organized diplomatic engagement, a diplomatic event attended by ambassadors without clearance from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The Foreign Affairs Ministry subsequently wrote to security authorities requesting clarification. So there was a petition in October to the Chief of Staff, to the Presidents. The presidency says Femi Gbajabiamila formally petitioned security agencies alleging forgery, impersonation, creation of a fictitious government agency, and this triggered a police investigation. He was arrested. He was left out in bail. Now, October 27, 2025, police arrested Prince Adeni Adeyemi Matthew. According to investigators, searches of his office and residence allegedly recovered appointment letters, official documents, agency records, other materials forming part of the prosecution's evidence. October 2025, he was arrested. Now, he's off the hook. He's now hiding. He did an interview with Channel Television recently on phone. He couldn't come to the studio to do the interview. Now, I'm sure that he will say, we're looking for him.
Well, the presidency had alleged that Mr. Adeni concocted letters and claims insisting that the council never existed.
So, if it did not exist, how did he find its name in the budget? Someone tried to explain, tried to explain something on X, that there was an advisory council, the Economic Advisory Council by Buhari, that was never taken off the budget. They linked his agency to that account. But he opened account in CBN.
As a government agency?
Yes. So how do you explain it? So our point this morning is, how did our institutions, how did it become that lax, to the extent that all the layers of checks failed up until the time that this agency now began to exist? If you look at the social media before he deactivated, because President said he had deactivated his
websites
account
and social media accounts.
If you saw those screenshots, you'll have seen videos of his engagement, pictures of his office, and all the things that he carried out. So the question for me is, if this had happened to our agencies, the agencies that were supposed to watch over our processes, how many other fake agencies
are there
are still operating that we do not know?